Welcome. I'm Frank Dodd. I talk about college football, I talk about the SEC, I talk about my favorite team. You know which one that is. It's okay to have a favorite team and a favorite conference and a favorite sport, but a lot of you may have a favorite bet. Any of you that might wager on sports bets are probably always looking for a way to make a little extra win. It's all about winning. Football games, it's about winning, but if you happen to be doing any sports wagering, you'll know it's really all about getting a certain amount of wins every week, and we have a guaranteed win for you. We'll tell you about that.
This team is on a 17-game winning streak.
We're going to show you how to bet that team, how you can make money on that team's games every week, and in some cases
you can make money on that team's games in more than one way.
But they have a 17-game winning streak, meaning that they have made you money every week had you took into consideration what we're going to talk about. Our topic tonight is the total, Vegas total, over-under. We're not really going to talk about anything else. We're not going to talk about football as a fan. This is to educate some of you about some sports betting angles. We're going to tell you, but like I said, we got a dream team. 17-game roll of winning you some money. So imagine at least one win every week. That doesn't sound good. It's up to you. But we're going to talk about that, and the angle that this team provides the consistent winning comes primarily from the total bet, and that's why we're going to talk about it. If you don't know much about it, you will when we finish. For those of you who don't know anything about it, when you want to bet on games or wager, that's the right word.
You have to go to sports apps, and there's a million ways, and it's tough to navigate. But if that's something you're doing, then you understand what the over/under is, what they call the total. You understand that, and you see it on the sports apps, and you don't hear much about the over/under as you do spread. The spread, the sucker bet, they want everybody to go that direction, and that's actually the least effective way to make money. The most risk, least reward. But the total, although it doesn't give you 5 to 1s, 3 to 1s, 2 to 1s, something like that, it'll give you a 1 to 1.
And it'll give you a 1 to 1 every time or something close. But the fact that you're winning at a much higher clip, what are you doing now? What's a good week for you guys? 60%?
I know guys that are famous for getting you up to 65%, and they think they're the guru.
Well, we're talking about 98% to 100. 98% to 100 is a lot better than what you're getting right now. We're going to talk about how that's achieved, and we're going to get right to it, because the over-under is the name of the game we're talking about. We're going to show you how to pick a good team to play the under on every week. I'm going to tell you what it takes to be a good under team, and we're going to tell you a little bit about the existing dream team that's on a 17-game winning roll. Now, we'll talk more about this dream team and how you can get a double dip almost every week with this team. But first, let's go back and let's understand what we're talking about as the primary focus is the total bet. So what is that exactly? Let's take a minute to talk about what we're talking about. Vegas, every game, lays a number out, and they evaluate how many points they believe that both teams will score in a game. How many points this game will have.
Let's say, just for record, just throw a team out there. Last week, Georgia, Kentucky. The over-under there was 44.5. They thought that 44.5 points were going to be scored in the game, and it turns out that 25 were scored, so that would have been an easy under, if you understand how that works. Had both teams scored more than 44.5, then it would have been closer to the over, and that gets complicated. Sometimes the over is a little higher than that. It's like there's a little gray area. Sometimes the over is a little more than just where the under stops.
We're going to explain all that to you in just a minute, but at the end of the video, we're going to reveal to you how to bet this dream team this week. We'll show you how to get some money this week out of this information. Guaranteed money, and we'll probably show you how to win 3 or 4 different ways from the same team.
Alright, let's get back to what the total bet. It's Vegas establishes a line that they think the game, how many points the game will have. They call that the total. And if the game ends below that, then it's an under win. And if there's a number at the high end, if it exceeds that, then it's an over win.
I'll show you in a little graph here. But so that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about point spreads. Doesn't matter how much the margin of victory there is. This is all about the total points in the game. If you're under, you win. Now the bad thing about the under bet, it's never 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1. It's always an even, slightly less than. But it's guaranteed. It's easy, and it's a good way to keep your funds from depleting on all those misses you make on the spread. But now, the beauty of it is, once you have a team that you got 100% on the over-under, the other things fall into place like a Rubik's Cube. Like last week, for example, like we mentioned Georgia as an example, that game was 22.5. Georgia was favored 22.5. And so that would have been a red flag. You would have easily seen that that's probably too high. You could have caught the under with Georgia, Kentucky, and easily took Kentucky into points, and you got 2 wins. You could even had a fighting chance to go under the points per play, which is another way you can make money on the same game. So you don't need to have 100 teams that you got figured out. I'm going to give you the dream teams numbers, and there's probably every week 2 or 3 other teams that we can do the same thing with. But let's don't forget this dream team for this weekend. I'll give you the details, show you how to break it down, how to bet this dream team on this upcoming weekend. Now, what does it take to be a good under bet? Well, we're going to get to that next.
So we talked about the total bet being over or under. There's also a thing called a push. A push occurs when the total score hits the odds maker's number exactly. If the odds are set at a whole number instead of a decimal, there's a chance of a push. Using the same
example as I mentioned, if it says 52, like 44.5 for Georgia, well, you know, a real football game won't have a half point unless you're playing in Alabama. It might. But so most of them are fractional, but if you see it's even, be careful. You could get stuck with a push. You'll just get your money back. Don't lose anything except losing the chance to win. We want you to win. It's all about picking winners, and we're going to make sure that you don't go, you don't strike out. No shutouts here. And now that you understand how to make an over and under college football bet, you need to do your research. Don't worry. We've done it for you. You have some things to do, people to see, and the NCAA football teams, leave that to us. We're going to take care. It's not that much information to keep up with, but you have to know what makes a good over/under team. One thing to look at, and it's also another third triangle to the betting angle, is the points per play. A team's offensive capability is equally as important as its defensive efficiency. Ask yourself this: does a team finish drives? A squad that's capable of getting the ball into the end zone is more likely to put up more points, and that could lead to an over bet. Another question is, does this team create turnovers? Squads that do are more likely to keep scoring at bay or produce more points when they're an underdog, leading to the under. And then you look how a team paces itself on the field. This will help you determine how the game will go. Fast-paced teams are likely to put up more points, whereas slow pokes are not going to score as often. And you can look at their PPP, points per play, gives you a good little handle of what a football team's like.
College football teams that average more PPP than their opponents are more likely to win. Makes sense, right? The more you outscore your opponent, the better chance you have of dominating the game. And this is called a dull moment, I suppose.
But you want to be wary of a team that has explosive offenses when you're betting the under. Your fiery, fast offenses can be an under bettor's worst nightmare. Unless you're afraid of sharks. And this will be your second worst nightmare. Up-tempo offenses that run fast and move downfield quickly are more likely to see their score sail way over the posted total. And understand, it's much easier to get an under than an over.
And in cases where teams are known for their dangerous offensive prowess, the totals can't seem to be set high enough, and you should avoid taking the under if you think the odds maker's number should be higher. In the same vein, fast offenses make for good over bets, but the under is much more likely.
Even when the starters are pulled late in the game during a blowout, the backups can continue to score, and the coaches will want them to get experience. If you're looking for the under dream team, you don't want an explosive team. You don't want an explosive team. But that's where the dream team comes into play. It is a unique, magical construction because this team is explosive and they can score a lot. And what this does, it gives them big total numbers every week, and they have a great defense. So they're almost guaranteed to get the under, especially when you consider the fact that they also have an odd bent for turning very conservative.
In almost every game. This dream team doesn't score much in the first half, saves the scoring for the second half. It's a perfect under machine.
And in the occasions last year when we bet them, the signs that they would go over, they were there. So it became an easy pick every week, and it's going to be easy this week. I'll tell you more about that later. So I want you to understand that we're not talking about spreads. We're not talking about any of that stuff at this point. We're talking about basically trying to pick teams that you think that if they have a good defense, that helps. A conservative offense, conservative, consistent offense is what we're looking for.
And this dream team we're talking about has all the earmarks of the champion.
And so without further ado, let's get down to business. This dream team, which by now you've probably figured out is the University of Georgia Bulldogs. Now they've caught that under 3 times this season, out of 3 games. But now they got the Georgia-Alabama game. That's a road game for Georgia. That total is 48.5. And Georgia's favored in the game, 2.0. They're favored by 2 points. So Georgia's going on the road to Alabama. Georgia's ranked number 2, and Alabama's ranked number 4. So the team's profiles are high. They're trying to make the playoffs. Now, unlike last year, style points aren't that important. There's 12 teams in the playoffs instead of 4. So Georgia's not going to go out there and try to have any style points. They just want to win the game.
Alabama's secondary is untested, and it could be a problem. But our history shows that this Georgia team not likely to capitalize on that. The intel we've got is they're going to try to run this game and make it a conservative game. And
So all that looks fine and good, but there are two details about this game, and this is where understanding your opponent makes all the difference. That 48.5 is too low. Had this been a 55.5 or something of that nature, you would have took the Georgia under. In this game, you take the over, because Georgia actually probably will unleash some offense we hadn't seen. And Milrose is dangerous, and Georgia's defense, although it is one of the best, I see them giving up 20 plus points. And so with Bama giving up 24 plus points to Bama, and knowing this Georgia team is going to have to show what it can do, and it's got too many explosive weapons to ignore, this week the dream team will go over that 48.5. You could even leave the under alone, because they may not go to the they may not tip it to the over range of payment. So, but I'm going to go ahead and call an over on that one for Georgia. I think the offense is going to actually explode. There's too many weapons, and now there's a lot of pressure for Georgia to show up. As much as they'd like to win a tight defensive game, I think Georgia is going to unleash the offense, and this one would be an easy bet to go over and take Georgia to take the points as well. It's a 2-point kind of game. Now, the other factors is road game. It's Alabama. There's the history. You have to consider all those things. But in this particular game, the Dream Team has its most challenging game from our perspective that they've had in 17 weeks. So can they go and make money for us on the 18th week? Absolutely. Take it the way we called it. Take Georgia with the over. Take Georgia over on the points per play. And take Georgia on the points. Because Georgia is a much better team than Alabama. And all those things can happen. And this weekend, they will. There are some other games that we can make some money on. You got Ole Miss and Kentucky. That's a 53.5 total. Take the under in that game. Ole Miss favored 17.5. You could take Kentucky and the points. Take the under. Take Kentucky and the points. Arkansas and Texas A&M. Another money-making opportunity. That total is 52.5. A&M's favored by 3.5. And so only take the under in that game, and don't worry about the winner. 52.5, that one should be below that. Neither one of those teams are going to score that well. Auburn and Oklahoma, the over-under is 45.5, and I think that's a good under choice as well. And then another money-making opportunity, Texas is given 39.5 points over Mississippi State, and the over-under 62.5. Go ahead and take the under on that one, and take Mississippi State and those points. They played pretty good against who was Auburn last week, and they got Bobby Petrino getting the offense turned around. And the last money-making opportunity, low-hanging fruit, you got LSU going against South Alabama, and LSU is favored by 22.5, and I don't think they're going to get it. Take South Alabama and those points. We'll give you something to keep that bankroll going every week, and that's the whole idea, is find the low-hanging fruit, and hopefully we gave it to you today.